Joining me is New Hampshire Executive Councilor Colin Van Ostern. So, Colin, I really want to talk about sort of New Hampshire's priorities, and to some degree that may be sort of New England's priorities, but really it's sort of New Hampshire's a microcosm.
Yeah.
In the last segment, you sort of talked about let's look at what we're trying to do, and what are the competencies that we as a state have.
Yes.
I know you were in Keene recently and talking about sort of New Hampshire. And the future of the state. Yeah. And it seems to me there may be an intersection between these two conversations. Do people talk about that?
Well, what I see is very clear as to what's the most important issue facing our state, and that is how we attract and keep young people, young families, and new businesses and startups here. It's actually unique to New Hampshire. We are aging faster than almost any other state in the country, and we need to be thinking about building tomorrow's communities, tomorrow's employers, tomorrow's tax base. And we have amazing assets, literally the best quality of life in the country, some of the best schools, safest communities, cleanest environment, lowest taxes, and lowest unemployment rate as well. But we need to be thinking about the future when we set these policies, because we can't take those things for granted. As we age, some of those great assets we have will be threatened unless we're finding new ways to grow our state in a sustainable way.
Right, and historically, if you look at the demographic trends, people were aging in New Hampshire, but the net move-in was a net young move-in.
Yeah.
And so it brought, new people into the state who were generally younger and had kids, and that's a different economic engine than people who are retiring.
Yeah, it's important to fuel our state economy, and I think that there's a pretty widespread consensus. It's not a partisan issue. I think you can talk to folks all across the political spectrum, and they'll say it's important to figure out how we grow our state for the future in a sustainable way.
So what are the key challenges to growing our state in the future?
Well, there are a couple of things. Right now, cost of higher education is a very significant part of it. More than almost any other state, New Hampshire high school students leave for college in other states, and when they leave college, they end up somewhere else. We have the second highest tuition and one of the highest debt burdens of any state in the country. That's something we really need to tackle, and we need to tackle head on. We also need to figure out how to take advantage of our workforce. So the good news in New Hampshire is that our unemployment rate is low, but we could be growing faster than we are right now. And what that means is employers are hungry to find folks who will help them grow and help them work. We have a lot of them right here in New Hampshire already. We need to have more folks who want to work be able to. So that means things like better access to full-day kindergarten, which right now only includes half the towns in the state, so that if both parents want to work, they have that opportunity. That's also, by the way, an important policy issue for setting tomorrow's children up to be the workforce of tomorrow.
So when you had that conversation, Keene, what did people say? What did you hear from people?
The amazing thing is that the belief that we need to grow our state and bring more young people and young businesses and young families here is embraced across the age spectrum. And so it's really exciting to see. I went to Keene recently and spoke at something called the Trendsetters Awards, and was honored to recognize young business leaders who are building tomorrow's employers and nonprofits and strengthening our community. And they're excited about it, but also, their parents and the senior generation are excited about it, because they know how important our state is, and they know that it's important that we bring in and keep people here to keep New Hampshire as great as it has been.
The casino bill, if it passes, if there's a casino, you'll probably have to vote on the contract.
Yeah.
Should New Hampshire look at that as a possible source of revenue to do some of the things that you talked about earlier?
Well, you're right. It will come to the Executive Council if it were to pass. And there's a pretty wide range of bills that have been out there right now. I've seen a lot of them that I've been pretty skeptical about, to be honest. I think that if it does come to us, we're going to need some serious regulation and regulatory teeth to make sure that something like that, if it happens in New Hampshire, is being done in a safe way that protects our state and protects our communities. Ultimately, it's up to legislators to make that policy decision.
Right. I realize you're awarding the contract.
Yeah, but if it comes to us, what I would look for is to really have a high level of confidence that the regulation is going to be set up in a robust way.
And is that something that can happen relatively quickly, or is this really a 2, 3, 4 year
It's
timeline?
not something you can flip the switch on overnight, that's for sure. I think that there will be, there was a bill that came forward in the legislature a couple years ago that I think people on all sides now would agree had a lot of, was lacking the regulatory strength that we needed. And there was good work done by folks like Dick Ames, who's a Democrat from Cheshire County, to try to study and understand how we could strengthen our regulatory structure. I think that was moving things in the right direction. But what they did identify, you can't have happen immediately. I mean, you have to have good law enforcement. You have to have folks who are keeping an eye on things, and that takes some time to build.
And this is one of those things that it's really quite complicated, like the light rail, the commuter rail.
Yeah.
It's not an easy fix.
I think that's right.
Well, we're out of time in this. Thanks so much for being here.
I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.